This is Audrey Rousseau.
This is Jonathan Kirsting.
I know, we got a new shtick going on here.
We get paid to have fun.
We do. We were
Yeah.
just dancing with our guest.
Exactly, and Frank
Yeah.
joined in with us, so.
Yeah. Our guest, who has their PhD, is dancing with us.
Exactly, that's what we bring it to the highest level here on Tech Live Radio, every chance that we
So
get.
we should introduce Frank Mumolo. We have Frank in the house. Hi, Frank.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, so, where are you from?
Where are
We're
you
in
from?
New York City, as
New
you
York
can tell
City.
from my accent. I'm not a Pittsburgher.
Yeah, but I'm not either. You
Yeah.
can never tell me from my accent.
You've had more practice than I have.
I do. That's true. So, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? I'm gonna be a native New Yorker the entire time I interview you.
What, are you writing a book?
Maybe.
So-
What's it to you? So tell us about MCA Consulting.
Yeah,
What is that?
MCA Consulting is a company I started back in 1999. And it was dedicated to really helping people in small and mid-sized businesses grow their business dramatically in spite of the economic environment. I know that sounds weird,
No.
but large companies depend on the economy. You know, General Motors and IBM, but
Mhm.
small companies, if they're doing it right, they should be able to survive and grow in any economy.
I hear it. Yeah.
Because.
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, the problem, the reason, you might ask, why don't they?
Mhm. Right.
The reason is that a lot of people who go into business for themselves, like, I guess, many people who are Pittsburgh Technology
Right, totally.
Council members,
Mhm.
they do it because they're really good at doing something, and they love it, they're
Mm-hmm.
passionate about it.
Right.
And that's a great romantic reason to be in business, but unfortunately, it's not enough to really run a business.
You keep it sustained.
You
and
can't be like what I like to call a romantic capitalist.
romantic capitalist.
Well, I guess, you know, theoretically, you know, you can make a theoretical living, but theoretical food's tough, you know?
Ooh.
This just seems like designer restaurants in LA that have that, though. You know.
Well, I heard about an extreme a couple of years ago. I mean, if you want to talk about that, a Beverly Hills high-end restaurant opened with an unlisted phone number.
That's the way to do it, man. Come on.
There is something to that scarcity model, right?
Yeah. So, Frank, tell us why small and mid-sized businesses? I mean, obviously, they're kind of the heart of this country, and I think we forget about that sometimes.
They are. I mean, especially, you can't turn on the radio these days without hearing about joblessness, unemployment, and so forth. And yet, 2 out of every 3 jobs that are created in this country come from the small business community.
Ding! We didn't even pay him to say
No,
that.
I didn't even pay to say that, and you said it. So
It's
And
true.
you said it. It's true.
It's the
People
lifeblood, it's
forget
the
that,
engine.
right?
It's
They
the
talk
engine,
about
yeah.
they got laid off or these big companies. Well, big companies are made to optimize.
That's right.
I know, so
That's
we
right.
forget that when we're working inside of them.
And the other thing that's really ironic is that small companies should have a lot more agility than large companies. They should be able to adapt better. So to come back to the question, why don't they?
Yeah, why don't
The
they?
statistics on new business startups, as you probably know, are not very encouraging. 80 to 90% of them fail in the first 5 years.
If you look at venture back.
Yeah.
And what's even worse, the ones that make it, 80 to 90% of those fail in the second 5 years. So if you do the math, less than 5%
Right.
of new companies ever see their 10th anniversary.
But which is
That's telling.
That's
sort of
scary.
based on a 10-year venture model, though, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's exactly where you get the math.
But people, you know, the reason for the reason for the 2 failures is different. I mean, the first 5 years is generally because they don't have the skill sets.
Okay.
They're,
So
they're
what's
good.
the second?
The second is burnout. If they make it through the first 5 years, they, many cases, have not established the systems and procedures and the training programs. I mean, the company, the reason I'm out in Pittsburgh is because a friend of mine is a principal in a private equity firm, and one of their portfolio companies here in Pittsburgh, a 20-year-old company, that's 25 now, got hammered by the recession. And this is not a small company. I mean, they were doing over 20 million in sales. But they got hammered, and he asked me to come out and fix it.
You fixed it.
And we fixed it.
Yeah.
We increased revenue 72% in 3 years in the middle of a recession.
So how'd you do that? I'm assuming this ties into your
It
6
does.
cylinders for success. I mean, you have a formula here that can help,
Yeah.
and this can be applied towards all companies.
Any business.
Yeah.
I mean, we've helped manufacturing companies, landscapers, lawyers, mortgage brokers, art gallery owners, physical fitness, yoga studios. The principles are always the same.
Exactly.
And it's this 6-cylinder concept I came up with about 15 years ago. that there are 6 areas.
Is it a flat 6 or a V6?
It's an inline 6.
An inline 6. Damn, you got me.
So keep going,
Yeah,
tell us about that.
there were really 6 areas that business people have to be conversant with. They don't have to be masters, but they have to understand it. And the 6 areas are basically your business strategy, the operations of the business, finance, sales and marketing, systems, and people. And I liken that to the 6 cylinders in a car motor. If the 6 cylinders are all running fine, you don't even notice the engine's running. But if 1 or 2 or even 3 of them is not functioning, it's a disaster.
You get some vibrations.
If the car even runs.
If the car even runs.
And
yes.
yet there are many small businesses out there operating on 2 or 3 cylinders, and they don't know what they need to know. And in order to learn it, you have a choice of going back to school, and who has time for that? You have a choice of self-study, which is the way I did it for 20 years, and it's a slow process. You can hire a business coach or consultant, and there are some good ones out there, but you better make sure they're good for you. Or you can pursue an online study program, which is actually something we're gonna be launching next month.
Ah, cool.
It's a webinar series, it's audio, it's video, it's self-study, and it costs about the same as a cup of Starbucks every day per month. It's very affordable.
And so the topics,
The 6 cylinders.
it's going to be the
over
6
each
cylinders.
Absolutely. And you can go into it in as much depth as you'd like. There's no contract. It's a month-to-month thing. And I think, to me, it's not important that
That's cool.
anybody comes to me. It's important that business people understand that there's a lot of things they have to know. And I always tell my clients, the dictionary is the only place I know where earn comes before learn. You've got to learn this stuff.
Exactly,
And I also tell them it's like being married. You know, when you marry somebody, you don't always like everything about them. There are certain areas you like better than others, but you certainly don't, go to the theater with one person and go skiing with another person and, cook with another person. You take the whole package. And it's the same thing with these 6 cylinders.
Unless you
There
live
are
in
some
another
you're gonna
state.
like better than
Well,
others.
I might say something completely different, but we'll take that off the line.
We just let one stay out there
Yeah,
for a while.
I'm letting that one stay out there. I think you might want to stick to your car now, okay?
Yeah. But, there are things like finance. When I hear a business owner say, well, my accountant handles all that. That's a
Ooh.
giant red flag.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like.
Because all your accountant does is give you a history report, a report
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
But they're not doing your budgeting, they're not doing your critical ratios, they're not doing your
They're
forecasting.
doing no analysis.
Nothing.
And when you learn this stuff, as I did, because I finished my education as an engineer, I didn't know what a balance sheet was. I didn't know what a marketing
Right.
program was. A good analogy, if I may, is one of my business heroes, a guy named Bob Goizueta, Robert Goizueta. He was the CEO of Coca-Cola for about 16 years. And what he did with the valuation in that company during that period is mind-boggling. But he started his life in Coca-Cola, his career, as a Cuban immigrant with a degree in chemical engineering. And he worked his way, he worked in a process plant, and he worked his way all the way up to the top. Now, I always ask people, what percentage of his original skill set do you think he used as the CEO with chemical engineering? Probably
A whole lot,
nothing, right?
Exactly, right.
So is it reasonable to assume he had to acquire other skills along the way?
Absolutely.
And that's what
He's a
business-
life learner, I would have to
But that's
assume.
an
and-
applied learning.
And that's
Applied
what,
learning,
well,
right.
that's what business owners have to do.
Right.
And the trick is to find a concise, practical, distilled version of it.
So we look forward to that. So if people want to
Yeah.
know more about you, where would they go?
And you're in the 6 cylinders and the webinars and all the good
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, they can go to my website, www.sixcylindersuccess.com, the number 6, not
Number
the
6.
word. Or they can certainly call me at my office. May I give the number?
For
If
sure.
you want?
412-787-7711. I'd be
That's
happy to walk
easy.
them through, but and we also have a book coming out this summer.
Okay.
Called 6-Cylinder Success, A Practical Guide to Business Success in the Real World.
And will that be available through like Amazon and places
Amazon,
like that?
Kindle, the whole thing, yeah.
Oh, that's
and
great.
we're calling it the Swiss Army knife of business books.
I like it.
If you're going to Mars and you're gonna start a business, this is the book
This
you
is
want
the
to
book
take.
you want to take with
So
you.
can we get an autographed version?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come on,
Great.
man.
My
Great
pleasure.
stuff. Well, this is exciting. Thank you
Yeah,
for stopping by the
that's
show,
very
Frank.
exciting.
Thank you guys very much. Enjoyed being with you.
Absolutely.